There's a certain kind of man who can walk into a room without saying a word and still turn every head. He doesn't demand attention, he commands it. He doesn't touch her, yet she feels him. His presence is heavier than the loudest voice. In a world full of noise, he is silence. But not the weak kind, the silence of control, the silence of a king who doesn't chase. That's the man she remembers, the one who controls her without even laying a hand. Because control, real control, has nothing to do with muscles or manipulation. It's about aura, frame, internal dominance. It's the unshakable energy of a man who leads himself first. Most men have no idea how powerful they'd become if they stopped chasing validation and started mastering presence. You don't control a woman by gripping her tightly. That's what the insecure do. The modern king doesn't need to raise his voice, doesn't need to flex, doesn't need to touch. He simply exists within a reality that is stronger than hers, and she either submits to his world or she walks away. Either way, he remains unmoved. Think of the lion who doesn't run after gazelle. He lets the prey come to him when he's ready. That's frame control. That's presence. You create a gravitational pull when you stop reacting to the world and start radiating from the inside out. When a man is deeply self-possessed, women feel it in their body. His posture is straight, his eyes are calm but firm, and his emotions are locked behind a fortress. She doesn't know what he's thinking, and that mystery drives her wild. She becomes invested in the chase, even though she doesn't realize it. You become the mystery. You become the story she can't figure out. Let me tell you a truth few will admit. Women test men not because they want to destroy them, but because they want to feel a man's strength. Not physical strength, but emotional authority. Can he stay calm when I try to provoke him? Will he fold when I get emotional? Will he chase me when I pull away? The man who passes these tests without flinching wins her loyalty without effort. She may not even know why she's drawn to him, but it's because he doesn't bend. He doesn't apologize for who he is. He controls the frame. That's the secret. If you control the frame, you control the woman. The frame is the invisible boundary that defines the tone, the energy, the values, and the reality of your interaction. When you hold the frame, you lead the conversation, the mood, and the direction, without ever forcing it. It's like mental judo. You use subtlety, stillness, and calibration instead of brute force. In one moment, you can change everything. Imagine this. She's yelling, throwing emotions like daggers, expecting you to crumble. Most men would try to defend themselves, explain, argue, fight back. But the modern king, he simply watches her, calm and detached. He lets her tire herself out in her own storm. And when she finally looks into his still, unwavering eyes, she realizes she's the one who's out of control. What if everything you chase is what's weakening you? What if pleasure isn't reward, but a trap? And what if desire itself was the enemy all along? Death of desire, the Stoic's path to cold clarity. This is not a guide. This is not self-help. This is war. Kill the need, master the mind. That moment, that silent mirror, is when the power dynamic shifts. She now sees him as the anchor, the rock, the force she can't move. And suddenly, the chaos calms. She softens, because her feminine energy wants to submit, but only to a man who proves he cannot be shaken. The weak man tries to control her with affection, gifts, arguments, sex, or jealousy. The strong man doesn't try at all. He simply is. And because his identity is rooted in something larger than her, his purpose, his vision, his values, he becomes untouchable. She feels that. She senses when a man's world doesn't revolve around her, and it pulls her in like gravity. Control without touching is about this silent influence, the ability to move her emotionally by not moving physically. It's psychological, energetic, spiritual, and it begins the moment you stop needing her and start owning your own presence. So let this be clear. Women are not drawn to what you do for them. They're drawn to how they feel around you. And nothing makes a woman feel more feminine, more safe, and more intrigued than a man who is fully rooted in his masculine core. Not because he's aggressive, not because he's loud, but because he doesn't move, because he controls the room and her emotions with the invisible hand, the hand of internal power. That is the essence of the modern king. Control is not just presence, it's precision. Once you've established your aura, the next level is subtle manipulation of energy and emotion. This is where most men fail. They think being stoic means being cold. But power doesn't come from shutting down. It comes from knowing when to pull back and when to lean in. Women are emotionally driven creatures, not weak, emotional. And if you, as a man, can learn to calibrate their emotions with calm precision, you hold a power far beyond the physical. You become the one she reacts to, obsesses over, and unconsciously submits to, not because you touched her, but because you knew how to trigger and tame her chaos. This is the dark psychology most never master. Let me give you an example. A woman throws a fit. You're not surprised. You expected it, because you've studied women. You understand they don't want logic in those moments. They want to feel your stillness. If you react, you give her the upper hand. You've made her the center of the frame. But if you stay composed, maybe even amused, she feels the polarity. She's fire, you're ice. She's emotion, you're order. She can't dominate you emotionally, and this secretly arouses her. Why? Because women feel safest when a man can remain grounded in chaos. That calm control is her drug, and only the disciplined man can deliver it. This is what I call emotional calibration, the ability to read the moment, regulate your own energy, and guide hers without force. In the alchemy of lust, you'll be taken deep into the ancient and forgotten discipline of sexual transmutation, a principle once reserved for monks, warriors, kings, and creators. One powerful tool? Silence. Don't underestimate the value of simply saying nothing. A pause, a look, a well-timed withdrawal. It can speak louder than 1,000 words. When she expects a reaction and gets stillness, it disrupts her emotional pattern. Now you have the leverage. And here's the twist. The less you say, the more she fills in the blanks. Her imagination becomes your weapon. She begins to question, what is he thinking? Why isn't he chasing? Is he done with me? This uncertainty makes her chase resolution, and you are the only one who can give it to her. That is power. Another tactic? Reverse validation. In a world where women are constantly praised, liked, commented on, and chased, the man who doesn't seek her approval stands out like a lion among sheep. She posts a picture and expects praise. But you say nothing. She brags about attention, and you respond with a nod. You're not impressed. Not because you're rude, but because you've seen behind the curtain. You know beauty without depth is distraction. And she can feel that. She knows you're not like the others. Now she wants to earn your attention, your praise, your approval. You've flipped the dynamic. That's psychological warfare without a single insult. You didn't belittle her. You just refused to worship her. Let's go deeper. Every woman has an ego loop. She expects men to behave in predictable ways. Chase, compliment, comfort, please. Break that loop. Gently, but deliberately. If she expects you to respond emotionally, laugh instead. If she expects you to comfort her meltdown, let her sit in it for a moment. Don't be cruel, but don't be quick to fix her either. Make her feel the weight of her own behavior. That pause, that mirror, often does more than any lecture. Eventually, she starts self-regulating. Not because you told her to, but because she values your presence and doesn't want to lose it. The key here is this. Women don't consciously understand why they're drawn to men who emotionally dominate, but their body knows. It's instinct. The man who knows how to apply pressure and release it like a conductor of her emotions becomes unforgettable. He's not abusive. He's aware. He doesn't suppress her femininity. He guides it. He doesn't argue. He redirects. And she follows, not because she has to, but because it feels natural. It feels right. You've taken her out of her head and into her body. That's the power of emotional leadership. So stop trying to convince women with words. Stop trying to buy their affection with effort. Start studying their emotional patterns. Start disrupting their routines with masculine unpredictability. Because once you control how she feels around you, you control everything. Not with your hands, but with your presence, your silence, your understanding of what drives her. This is how kings move in the modern world. Subtle, strategic, sovereign. Emotional leverage is the game, and most men are too reactive to even play. You cannot control her until she knows, deep in her soul, that she cannot control you. And the only way to reach that level of unshakable power is by building your inner kingdom. You are the king, and she is either invited into your domain or left outside the gates. No negotiation, no compromise. You do not build your life around her emotions. You build your life around your mission, your discipline, your vision. She may tempt you. She may test you. She may try to manipulate, distract, or seduce you, but none of it works if you are truly sovereign. The modern king is not reactive. He is rooted. He does not chase. He attracts, and only those worthy may stay. This is the final form of control, being untouchable. You see, most men get controlled because they are afraid to lose her. They become obsessed with her approval, her mood, her body, and the moment you fear losing her, she owns you. Not directly, but emotionally. Becoming Interceptor is the code they never wanted you to learn. A psychological war map for men, forbidden teachings fused with modern strategy for influence, dominance, and self-mastery. If you want peace, prepare for war. You begin adjusting your tone to avoid conflict. You hold back your truth so you don't upset her. You start proving your worth like a servant instead of standing in your truth like a king. And with every step you take to gain her favor, you lose her respect. Women do not stay with men they can emotionally dominate. They may use them, but they will never honor them. Because nature designed women to seek protection, not weakness. They are biologically wired to submit only to the man who is mentally and emotionally superior. So the question becomes, who are you without her? When she pulls away, do you fall apart or stand taller? When she disrespects you, do you bark back? Or do you walk away, calm and composed, because you know your boundaries? The man who cannot be moved has already faced himself. He's done the internal work. He's faced his childhood wounds. He's sat in silence and mastered his demons. He has made peace with solitude. He no longer needs approval, sex, or softness to feel like a man. He is already whole. And that wholeness is terrifyingly attractive to women because they realize they cannot manipulate him with what works on weaker men. This man leads with silent standards. He doesn't yell, threaten, or argue. He simply has a code, and if it's violated, he disappears. He knows that absence is stronger than presence when respect is broken. He knows that staying calm when others rage is a form of warfare. His energy alone sets the rules, and women naturally fall in line, not out of fear, but out of reverence. They crave to be around a man who knows himself so well that her drama cannot penetrate his armor. He is not cold, he is clear, and that clarity makes her feel safe. You must become the man who doesn't flinch when tested, the man who isn't swayed by tears or seduction, the man who doesn't lower his standards just to keep a woman. Build a life that fulfills you without her, and she will be magnetically drawn to that fulfillment. Build a body, a mind, a mission that is so complete that her presence becomes a bonus, not a necessity. Because when you stop needing women, you start attracting higher quality ones. The ones who see your value and don't want to control it, they want to support it. Let her feel that you're ungovernable, that she can't break your focus, that even in love, you will never lose yourself. The man who leads from within does not beg, plead, or prove. He builds. He walks away when disrespected. He speaks truth without fear. And women, deep down, crave that kind of man. Not the one who bends for their emotions, but the one who channels their chaos into structure. She doesn't want to lead. She wants to feel a man who can handle her fully without collapsing under her weight. And that kind of power doesn't come from game, manipulation, or charm. It comes from mastery of self. So remember this: the ultimate way to control her without touching her is to become the man she cannot control. To live by a code so strong, a mission so powerful, and a presence so stable that she either submits or walks away in frustration. Either outcome is a victory. Because kings don't chase women. Kings don't argue with chaos. Kings build kingdoms so powerful that queens have no choice but to follow or be forgotten. You are not here to win her over. You are here to win yourself back. And when you do, you become the one thing no woman can resist, a man who cannot be moved. Thus remember, we are Indeceptor. Welcome to the Indeceptor archive, where the undeceived rise. No ads, no distractions, just pure, uninterrupted power. As a crusader of the archive, you gain infinite access to every video, every truth, every strategy, without censorship, delay, or interruption. New drops daily, delivered to you before the world sees them. Raw, unfiltered, elite. Indeceptions.com